Oftentimes in the autistic community, or sometimes in the ADHD community, we talk about sensory seekers and sensory avoidant. Now, this is a false dichotomy of a case because you can seek out a lot of sensory stimulus in one case or not. A sensory seeker might be a person who likes loud noises, bright flashy lights, lots of maybe a lot of people input, stuff like that. Sensory avoidant would just avoid everything, strong smells, loud noise and stuff. Most people in the autistic community are both, which is that we are very sensory seeking in one way or not in another way, more extreme than most people, and that you might only see one aspect or another one. Such as them saying, oh, you only think I'm happy because you only see me when I'm happy and outside my house. And it can go on and off. It can be that they're very sensory seeking when they're feeling good, but when they're overwhelmed, they're sensory avoidant. And there's a lot of interactions, but it's just that it's more of an extreme thing, an important part of who they are. However, there are some people that are overall more sensory seekers than others. That is true. So I quickly wrote down some ideas if you're sensory seeking to help me get the input necessary. And this input is necessary for me to not be as anxious, to be calm, to be happy. Because when I don't have this input, I get a lot more anxious. I also can't think straight and everything. So here are 5 ideas. One is to start food add-on. And by what I mean by that is you start off with food that doesn't have much on it. No spices, no seasonings, nothing, very bland. And as you eat, you add more and more spices and sauces and stuff to it. Or you cook over several days and you keep adding stuff to what you cook. The whole idea here is that when your body gets used to one flavor or something, you add a little more, you add a little more, and you add a little more so you're always never used to it. And you always get this new sensation. It's also a good way to personally get yourself to try out new foods and try new things by slowly adding up to a full impact. However, it's something you should never force on people. This is why I have a giant spice rack next to the food I eat. I do recommend it as something if you like it. And spices are a pretty healthy way of doing it. It depends if you have gastrointestinal issues and so on, of course. And it also might not work the best with mess. It can be very messy. But otherwise, pretty good. And the other one is to have a music list that changes music a lot so that can keep you up and running. Note that some people that are normally sensory seeking hate music or food or something, vice versa. Another one for me that helps is wiggly shoes or worn out shoes, because then you get to feel the texture much more underneath it. You can wiggle your toes and people don't see it that you're wiggling your toes. You get to feel the grass much more. You can also put your feet in, walk on your heels, walk on your toes, walk on sides of your feet back and forth, and that all gives you much more sensory input and really helps a lot. All my shoes are completely worn down and ugly because of that. I really like that sensory input. Some people also like walking barefoot. Another way of getting more sensory input while walking is to not walk on flat surfaces, to walk zigzag, to walk with a little more drama and step to your step, walk a little more neutral. Okay, the 4th way I call gamify, and I do it with everything. You can get distracted though with gamifying, which can make it worse. It can make some people more anxious. For some people, it makes them less anxious. For a lot of people, can do both, so learn to do it yourself. And gamify means just turning stuff into a fun game. And here's an example. On tests when I'm nervous or I have trouble paying attention, I will count how many multiple choice of each of the different answers, and I'll try to predict which one. I'll do mathematical analysis on the statistical distribution. Sometimes I try to take a list of words and I delete as many words as I can with still understanding what the message is, even if it's grammatically incorrect. I make up fun challenges. I try to find connections between stuff. I might count the number of things and make predictions about counting. Stuff like that. All just games I play. My ones tend to be centered around numbers. Some people do it around letters. They try to predict what's the next word a person's going to say. Or they might look at a board, and every time a teacher says something in their head, they might try to figure out a counter response. So it keeps them engaged. You could do it with colors or try anything. Anything you can pretty much turn into a game, just looking and absorbing for something to happen and keeping track. Now, what game is up to you? What game is good? You can only make suggestions, but if you want to encourage someone else to do it, maybe start playing these type of little games with them and see if they like it. Don't force it at any time. Another thing I do is what I do called long tours, and I need to move a lot to think, and sometimes I don't have an excuse to move. I also sometimes sort of do this with the bathroom, so instead of doing one trip, I do 10 trips to move and do a basic task. That way, I can have more time to think and move around and do and process stuff. I still get the task done, but I don't feel as much of a hurry. Then I oftentimes will better if I forget something or something, because I'm taking longer while moving more, so more processing than if I was in the rush, and I will inevitably forget stuff. I still forget stuff a lot. Sometimes I make up excuses to go to the bathroom for this very reason, to take a little break and also move around more. Well, I hope you found some of these ideas interesting, maybe even useful. Please like and subscribe, and please share it with your friends. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours within a year, which is really hard. With your help, I'm certain I can do it. Thank you very much. Goodbye.